Hey there. How's everybody doing today? So, and excuse me, my campus really is kind of funny. Um, the Scientology in the 90s in the church in the 501c3, it's a decoy. It doesn't even make any sense. Doesn't pass the sniff test at all. So, if you really look at it, the Scientology is a church. Back in 1967, their status as the church was eliminated, not their 501c3. So they may not have had it at first, but you didn't need it. Let me read to you this publication. So in the IRS, in the IRC, which is the Internal Revenue Code, church there's two different things. There's churches and religious organizations. And they both can be legally organized in a variety of ways under state law and federal law. Churches are not subject to having 501c3 designation. They don't have to. They only have to meet those 14, or not even all of them, but most of them, a substantial amount of the 14 qualifiers to make them tax exempt to be a church and to enjoy the benefits of their religious organization status. So they don't need a 501c3 in order to do business. That's per the Internal Revenue Code. All they need is to say they're a church, and to be a church is those 14 qualifying things. Now, and as I said, some of those are arguable, but hey, that's the amount that they make. So what you need to do is understand that if we were to protest to say the IRS needs to revoke their 501c3 status, really wouldn't make any difference in the world. They're still able to have the benefits without the 501c3 status. The only reason they get the 501c3 status usually, and this is even per the IRC, is so that way people have the tax exempt for PR. That's all. That's all it is for PR. Now, a religious organization, yep, they have to have a tax exempt number. They have to have a 501c3 status in order to enjoy the benefits, the same benefits that a church does. So there's 5 areas of kryptonite that the churches have to um, fall under. If they fall under these, then they lose their church status. They lose the benefits that they have. Um, those areas, let me see here. So this is what will jeopardize their tax exempt status. 1, if their net earnings are not inure, may not inure to any private shareholder or individual. That's the one they got them on back in 1967. They must not provide a substantial benefit to private interests. They must not devote a substantial part of their activities to attempting to influence legislation. They must not participate in or intervene in any political campaign or on behalf or in opposition to any candidate for public office, and the organization's purposes and activities may not be illegal or violate fundamental public policy. So those are the only ways that can be jeopardizing to their status, to their church status. And as I said, they don't have to have a tax exempt 501c3. So When you go through this document, and I attached it down below into the description of the video. When you're looking through this, there are explanations and definitions of 1, 2, 3, the first 4. When you get down to the purposes and activities may not be illegal, there's nothing there, nothing whatsoever. And mainly because the IRS has no say in whether they have um, purposes and activities that may be illegal. The Department of the Justice and now the Department of Homeland Security, they have say over this. So let's go to the next document that I have posted down there. This is, let me give you the title of it. As I said, I linked it down below, but it's the activities that are illegal or contrary to public policy. And this is per the IRS guidelines. And it has a substantiality test. Violation of the constitutionally valid laws is inconsistent with exemption under the IRC. Now, what this is saying, and I'll let you go ahead and read it, is that um, in the example that they give, is that if you have waste coming out of your ship for 100 different claims, well, that may not be substantial enough to take you down, but if you rob a bank just once, that would be enough. So you have to look at where you know, and excuse my brain for just bouncing all over the place. Yeah, I'm ADHD. So when you're looking at this, it's probably why Scientology has all of the arbitration agreements. One, because then you can't sue them. Two, it doesn't prove that um, that the organization, the church, has done anything wrong. Let me back up just a second too, because if you look at FLDS, the organization didn't do it. If you look at the Catholic Church didn't do it. So I think they're falling right into line. Scientology is trying to fall right into line with the same items. So, but they have done these. The organization has done this. So they want arbitration. They don't want lawsuits. They're not performing lawsuits. They're not being the litigator or the defendant on any of these lawsuits. And they keep keeping them out of the courts because if they do, then the Department of Justice or the Department of Homeland Security would then have a substantiality test. So the other part of that I'm getting to is that it can't be just a single person in the organization or the church. So, as that Warren Jeffs example, he was the one that took the fall for the organization, for the church. The church is still standing, the church is still running, the church still has all of its benefits of the 501c3 tax exempt status. The Catholic Church, the priest took the fall. The church did not take the fall. So the priests were the ones that were sued, and the church was um, miraculously escaped the whole thing. So this is one thing that we need to kind of be cognizant of, is that is there one person that seems to be taking the fall right now? Certainly isn't David Miscavige. Who might that be? Is it planned that way? Is it not planned that way? I don't know. I can't say. But you don't want this to rest on a person. because if you let this rest on a person, the church is going to escape any convictions whatsoever. So, what do we do about this? How do we go about this? Um, with especially with all the arbitration clauses right now, and the arbitration until that's settled and shit that might be litigated forever and ever. Amen. So right now, I can see three different ways of trying to push this through. The first way, to have the never ends of the children of Scientology make the claims, the never ends would not be under the arbitration clauses. The never ends would be able to file suits. The second area would be to lambast the Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security with claims, kind of doing the gaming the fair game again, um, with complaints. The never ends need to do this about what they know, about what they investigate, what they need to investigate, where they need to go with this. And the third area is way to do this would be kind of my favorite, but hell, what do I know? Would be an old-fashioned 504 protest, a 504 sit-in. That'd be kind of cool. Back in 1976, 1977, people with disabilities continually had no resources, had no accessibility, nothing was happening. So they started with the 504, Section 504 of the Rehab Act, in where they said all the disability advocates from around the world or around the nation said, look, at least let our veterans, at least let our federal buildings, at least let us be able to go into the post office, at least let us go into the VA. For those that are able to do that, those places need to be done. And it was basically thrown out. Nobody wanted to listen to them. So they put together a sit in. And this was nationwide. Now, the one that really, really made a difference was the one, I believe it was in Sacramento. And they went into the federal office. Can't remember which guy it was or the person, representative or the senator, and they sat in there. They ended up staying there for 30 days. 30 days, guys. How cool is that? And remember, back then they didn't have cell phones and they weren't allowed to use the phones, the landlines. You know what they did is they had deaf people signing from the windows, saying what they need, saying what was going on, giving them, and the Black Panthers were bringing food in to them, so that way all of these people in wheelchairs that were deaf, that were blind, all of these peoples did this sit-in. It made a huge difference. From there, Section 504 went to the Americans with Disabilities Act, and look what a change that this has made. So let's not count that out, guys. Okay, I think I am done for right now, and let's go from there.